So, Canto 1, Chapter 7. Son of Drona punished. Shaunako Vacha Nirgate Narade Sutta Bhagavan Padarayanaha Shrutavam Stad Abhipretam Tata Kim Akarod Vibhu. Rishi Shaunaka asked, O Sutta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narada Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasa do? Sutta uvacha brahmanadyam saraswatyam ashrama paschime tate samyaprasa iti prokta rishinam satra vardhanaha. Sri Sutta said, on the west bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Samya Prasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Tasmin swa ashrame vyaso badari sanda mandite ashino pa upas prasya pranidadhyamana swayam. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashrama, which is surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. So, when we hear instructions, when we hear uh, Bhagavad Gita, it is important to give ourselves time to meditate upon what we have heard. Because when we meditate upon it, we are able to crystallize things, absorb things, and then from the absorption comes realization. When we have the realization, then we can put it into daily practice. And that is key to growing in Krishna consciousness. Because without daily practice, this becomes something that is more of a entertainment. That okay, I hear Bhagavatam class is ritualistic, and that's about it. But when we put it into practice, then it becomes real. Then it is actually transforming our lifestyle, right? So Krishna consciousness is not like the Hindu process where you go to the temple on a Saturday or a Friday or a Tuesday, Monday for Lord Shiva, Sunday for something, Friday for Durga Devi. It's not like a ritualistic thing. For us, Krishna consciousness is a daily activity, it's a daily thing. It's part of our life, just like we breathe, just like we eat, just like we, do everything on a daily basis. Krishna consciousness is, and that is transformation, that is transformative. That is a lifestyle shift. That's why Srila Prabhupada taught us. He wanted lifestyle shift. He didn't want it to be just an entertainment or a weekend thing that you do as a ritual. So for that to happen, it is important that we meditate upon the instructions that we're receiving. What does meditation mean? Chanting Hare Krishna is one kind of meditation, but when we hear instruction, like after the class, if we spend, 15, 20 minutes contemplating on the things that we heard, maybe put the phone away and just you know put yourself in a me time where it's just you, your thoughts. Often in the morning also, when you're in the bathroom, that's a great time to kind of churn those thoughts. When in the shower, a lot of those thoughts, and then you will see that there'll be to-do list that comes out. From the thoughts comes actions, right? So once we have some clarity, this is what Krishna was saying, inspiration will come. The inspiration might inspire us to chant a little more, or perhaps invite a friend to Krishna consciousness, or perhaps plan to do some charity, whatever it is, right? But once we meditate and contemplate on these teachings, application points, to-do list, thoughts become action. So it's important to give it time to nurture the ideas that we're churning here. I remember when my mentor's father got cancer and he had to leave America to go to India. And be with his father for his whatever last several months of his life, I was asked by my mentor, so now it's upon you to take the baton forward. And, if you don't preach, IIT will die. So IIT preaching started by my Guru Maharaj. My mentor continued it and flourished it. And I was not ready for it. I was an introvert. Public speaking was not my area of strength, and I did not want to do it. Prabhuji had told me before many times I did not want to do it. But this time he was like, hey, I'm going. I'm going to not come back for months till my father leaves his body. I'll not come back. So unless you do it, it's over. Maharaj's effort will go to waste. So I was kind of forced in that situation. Then, now that I had taken on this responsibility, I wanted to do it justice. So thankfully, I had recorded Prabhuji's lectures on my phone. I had just a camcorder, I would record every single lecture. So back then, YouTube was new. It was not a thing to record things. But I felt it's a sin that such gold wisdom is there and people don't get to hear it. I only get to hear it. And that's not fair. So I would record them. So all those recordings, I kind of put it out and I started listening to them over and over and over again. So if I would have a class to give on a Friday, all of Thursday would be preparation, like one lecture 6 to 7 times. So imagine one 1 hour lecture 6 to 7 times, taking notes. When I did that, I realized although I was sitting in those classes during live class, my brain probably just absorbed 30% of it, even though I was thinking I absorbed the whole class. It's not. And then I was hearing lecture recordings and I'm like, Prabhuji said this. Did he say that? Really? I did hear that. Right? So when I started preaching, and for preaching I had to prepare myself, that's when I realized how less, we hear, how lesser even we retain, right? And then of course, with the given Kali Yuga memory, forget, how much little bit we carry forward. So it's important that we understand that when we hear Krishna Katha, like Vyasadeva is doing, he heard from his instruction from Narad Muni. Now he's sitting down to meditate. So we must give ourselves 10 minutes, 15 minutes to meditate, contemplate, go for a drive, go for a walk, you know, uh, anything that helps you kind of stay away from certain things that keep you engaged. So your focus is what I heard. Let me see what are some points I can remember. And based on that, what can I put into practice? And if you want to write down things, please feel free. Right? That's a very powerful thing. At least one thing I can tell you from every class, just take one thing that touches your heart that you can put into practice. So, learnings from Vyasadeva. See, that's what Bhagavatam is. Today I was hearing my Guru Maharaj's lecture, glorifying Bhagavatam. And Padma Puran, Garuda Puran is describing Shrimad Bhagavatam that it is the conclusion of Vedanta Sutra and it is the explanation of Brahma Gayatri. So if you see, I will not say the Gayatri mantra out loud because I don't have the qualifications for it. But the very beginning of Bhagavatam, the verses, it starts with Dhimahi. And Dhimahi is a very important word in the Gayatri mantra, for those of you know the Gayatri mantra. So Bhagavatam actually is the explanation, entire Bhagavatam is the explanation of the Brahma Gayatri mantra, and it's a conclusion of Vedanta Sutra. The Mayavadis go nuts over Vedanta Sutra, right? It's like their property, Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta. But then Bhagavatam is what the explanation is in the truest sense. And it is not us saying, or it's not the Bhakta saying that, it is Garuda Puran that states. And it very clearly says, what is the Shrimad Bhagavatam? It is that with 18,000 verses, the 300 and something canto, not cantos, something it says, segmentation, something, very specifically says the Shrimad Bhagavatam that this book is referring to. So even like hearing Bhagavatam without even understanding is glorious because it's the explanation of Brahma Gayatri Mantra, right? Now, what to speak of understanding it. So this is the essence. Through Bhagavatam, we see these great personalities like Vyasa, Narada, Ambarish Maharaj and all that. And from their lives, we get to learn how to live life, right? These are our role models. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihate male apasyat purusham purnam mayam cha tad apasrayam. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaged it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. And thus, he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. So, now Vyasadev's meditation is such that he can get his mind fixed, perfectly engaging in by linking it to devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. So, pure meditation without Sukha sampatti ghar aave, kashta mite tan ka, right? So these are songs that are very materialistic. If you think they're prayers, but they're very materialistic prayers. We are asking for like sukha sampatti, properties, material happiness, kashtamite tanka, health, etc. But that's not what devotees do. Devotees don't ask Krishna for such things. Devotees ask Krishna to bless us with pure devotional service. We want to serve the Lord. Right. So without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy. Yaya sammohita jiva atmanam tri gunatmakam paropi manut nartam tatkritam chabhipadyate. Due to the external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Because we think we are this body, it bothers us when somebody does something that impacts something connected to the body. For example, if somebody says something about my company, I might appreciate it or not appreciate it depending on the comment, because I'm thinking it's my company. If somebody says something about my relative, about my community, about my language, about my nation, about my religion, right? All of this is connected to this body that I'm born into. If somebody says something about a cat, I could care less. That cat is ugly. I could care less. Somebody says, your brother is ugly. I will be like, huh? How dare you say that? Because I connect with the body. That brother is connected to this body, right? So when there's bodily consciousness, there is material happiness or distress, generally distress. When your understanding is your spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, you're kind of oblivious to all of these things, right? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaya. Right. So it's like, okay. That doesn't mean you don't care for Krishna's resources. Of course you care, but it doesn't bother you. It doesn't impact you, doesn't affect you. That is the important part to understand here. We are intelligent enough to understand money is important, status is important, credentials are important, technology is important, transportation is important, communication is important, all of that is important. But something falls short, one gets affected or not affected. A pure devotee doesn't get affected. They learn to deal with it. It's a material world. Whereas a common person might get impacted, like, oh my God, what's this happening to me? And they get bent out of shape. They might become suicidal. They might become depressed, etc., etc. Right? So there's a difference between bodily conception of life and spiritual conception of life. When my identification comes from spiritual conception of life, then life is a lot easier to deal with. Shrimad Bhagavatam is a summum bonum remedy for suffering humanity in the clutches of Maya. Srila Vyasadeva, therefore, first of all diagnosed the actual disease of the conditioned souls, that is, they're being illusioned by external energy. He also saw the perfect supreme being from whom the illusory energy is far removed. Though he saw both the diseased conditioned souls and also the cause of the disease, the remedial measures are suggested in the next verse. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity, living beings, are undoubtedly qualitatively one, but the Lord is the controller of the illusory energy, whereas the living entity is controlled by the illusory energy. So let's look at the solution. Anarthopasamam shakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. Let's read that one more time. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him. They're not real. They're not connected to him, superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by linking to the process of devotional service. When you link with Krishna, problems disappear. Problems are there. The perception of them being problematic disappears. Right? There's a difference between there's a problem and the problem being problematic for you. For example, let's say you're driving through a highway and the shortest path is closed. The road is closed. The GPS tells you there is another path that is curved route. Okay. Now, somebody who understands material world, padam 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 natesham, every step there's danger, understands and thanks Krishna. Okay, maybe there was vipadam on this road. There was danger on this road. So Krishna's rerouted me. I'm happy. But somebody who's not understanding of the fact would be like, God, I have to waste energy and oil and everything. I have to go and it'll be late and this, that. Oh, look at that. Life is so miserable. So, superfluous things bother us, impact us. But when we are connected to Vasudev, Govinda, things don't affect us because we understand his hand. Who knows? I could have gotten into trouble in this road. Krishna rerouted me, saved my life. Right? But the mass of people do not know this. And therefore, the learned Vyasadeva compiled the Vedic literatures, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Right? So all your problems and miseries become, I want to understand, this is not a false promise that, oh, you know, problems and miseries vanish. You wear this ring, this diamond, this emerald, this amethyst, and your problems will vanish. That's not how it works. Your problems, your karma, all of that, you will be going through. Karma will be reduced significantly. Empowerment will come to deal with whatever residual karma is there, right? So problem was like a giant, it might reduce to a puppy, right? And you'll have the empowerment to overcome that puppy. That's what bhakti does. But there will be obstacles. Life won't be a bed of roses. What will happen is, A, you are empowered. B, the problem is reduced. C, you're getting realizations, Krishna is with me. And D is, you will come up with new qualities. You will develop new things within you that you didn't know you had, right? And that's something to cherish for because you're evolving then. You're moving towards becoming a spiritually enlivened, awakened soul, right? What do most people do? They grow their bank accounts, they grow their skills, right? But do they grow their qualities? Do they become more generous, more loving, more compassionate, more honest, more kind, more respectful? Do people work on these things? Some do, most don't. Most people work on what? I know how to use Tableau. I know how to use Excel. I know how to better use that technology. But Krishna consciousness teaches us how to be a better human being, more powerful, more empowered being. So when you're empowered, you can do anything well. You can be a good CEO. You can be a good sannyasi. Both you can do very, very well. Or you can be a sannyasi doing the role of a CEO, like my Guru Maharaj, right? He's managing multiple temples, thousands of disciples, lawsuits against ISKCON that he's fighting out, right? There's so many things. He's not just sannyasi giving lecture. He is a sannyasi who's giving lecture, counseling people, managing things, fundraising for temples, battling lawsuits, protecting ISKCON properties for Krishna. He's a sannyasi, doesn't have to do anything. He can be in Vrindavan chanting Hare Krishna, giving lectures, be happy. He has nothing. No, he really, his bags are only books and his dhoti and his upper garment. That's what his bags are, right? But for ISKCON, for Krishna consciousness, he's taking on these services just so that our next generation and their next generation can have access to pure Krishna consciousness, not the Ritwik version of Krishna consciousness, not the diluted version of Krishna consciousness, not this version, that version, but the Prabhupada, what he gave us as Shaktivesh Avatar, as the empowered Acharya, right? That version of Krishna consciousness can be gifted as it is. You will notice, those of you who are connected with ISKCON, that the way I preach and the way ISKCON in India is very different. Here you have man woman, combination. Generally in ISKCON India, that's not a practice. I was told you should not preach to women, right? Vibhuti Mataji is here. So at that time, ISKCON Delhi's number one person after Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he said, Prabhuji, this is not good. You should not preach to Mataji. So Vibhuti Mataji is in Delhi. So I said, okay, do you have someone? He sent a Mataji. And she asked a bunch of questions to Vibhuti Mataji, and Vibhuti Mataji was feeling like, you know what? This is not how Ajita Prabhu treats me. I don't like to be treated this way. And I'll prefer the flavor of Krishna consciousness that I'm getting here. And the reason I'm not trying to compare and say how great I am, because I have had the great fortune where my mentor and my guru have preserved the Prabhupada way of Krishna consciousness, which is very relevant for modern times. Because, for example, Gaudiya Math, their requirement is 64 rounds for initiation. Can you imagine chanting 64 rounds every single day? It's wonderful if you can do it. But then forget Grihastha life, forget jobs. 8 hours you're chanting Hare Krishna, right? 8 hours a day. So Prabhupada didn't do that. Prabhupada made it 2 hours a day, 16 rounds. So it's important to understand that Prabhupada made it easy for Americans and Europeans to become Krishna conscious. And today, India is nothing but copying Americans and Europeans. In fact, we're beating Americans and Europeans in terms of capitalism and materialism. So what Prabhupada gave us is very applicable for us. Whereas if you see in India, there's a lot of traditions and things like that. Women you don't see on the altar. Prabhupada always put women on the altar, right? If you have, there's a lot of discrimination against not only women, but also people from the LGBTQ community. There's this judgment and all of that. I don't like it, right? I'm not speaking against ISKCON, mind you. I'm speaking against the dilutions that have happened within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in India, which has come from Hindu ideas, not Vaishnava ideas, right? Now, you might say Hindu and Vaishnava, what's the difference? Difference is Hinduism is more of a tradition that has become, where scriptures is not based on scriptures. A marriage in Maharashtra, a marriage in Delhi, a marriage in Kolkata will be very different. All Hindu, but somewhere you're wearing this kind of headgear, somewhere you're wearing this kind of headgear, somewhere you're doing that ritual and this ritual. Where are the basis of the scriptures? Hinduism has gotten diluted. Vaishnava way of doing things is directly coming from Vaishnava literatures and Vaishnava scriptures. So it's very important to understand that Hinduism impacting ISKCON in the way where traditions that have come from Brahmanas, I'm a Brahmana, I can say it, where things have been, because of power and control, things have been made in such a way, right? Krishna doesn't judge. There is spiritual equality in Krishna consciousness. Man and woman have equal rights in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada made brahmachari ashrams and brahmacharini ashrams. Prabhupada had female disciples and male disciples going hand in hand. He was preaching to all. But things have changed. Why? Because things have moved away from Prabhupada, right? In India, because the crowd, Prabhupada disciples don't have direct access to the common devotee. A common devotee gets access to a counselor. Apparently, there's a super counselor. Then there is a super counselor. Then there is a Gauranga Prabhu level devotee. Then there's like a sannyasi Prabhupada disciple. So a lot gets lost, right? I have been very fortunate, but I've been directly guided by Srila Prabhupada's direct disciple, right? And my mentor has imbibed those qualities in such a way that it's not different. And I am trying my best to imbibe those qualities and give it to you in such a way that it's practical, and the way Prabhupada did it, that way, not the way where it's kind of inundates you. I've told, I don't know if Praveen Prabhu's here today. Praveen Prabhu was being asked that, oh, you're not spending enough time in temple services, this, that. And he gave it, Prabhu, I feel so bad. I'm like, please don't feel bad. Your home is also temple. Taking care of your wife and kids is bhakti. And when he heard that, he was like, oh, that's not what I hear in the temple. I'm like, that's what Prabhupada has taught. If you're a grihastha, that's your primary responsibility. Make your children Krishna conscious, right? And then if you have enough time, you can also do temple services. So point is to keep things intact, to make sure the disciplic succession moves forward in a way that doesn't get diluted. It is important that we have a strong understanding of Krishna consciousness without the superfluous aspect of things. When Krishna is purely present, transformation happens. When there is material dilution, you see big buildings, you see big things happening, but transformation is a little less. If you go to Vrindavan, you will see a lot of temples, right? Temples by all kinds of so-called devotees that have changing colors, Prem Mandir, and some have big, white elephants and this and that. But then it's what's happening there, right? You look at the impact Srila Prabhupada is still making through ISKCON, and you look at those temples. They are wonderful temples. I'm not disregarding, but purity. The more the purity, the more the transformation, right? That's important to understand. So stronger the purity, the more transformation of the heart. And in Kali Yuga, that is what we have time for. We live very short lives, 60, 70, 80 years. So the material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by linking process of devotional service, right? The stronger the link, the Wi-Fi connection is stronger, the better impact you have. The weaker the link, the weaker the impact. It takes longer time and whatnot. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Any questions so far? Okay. Anybody wants to read the next verse? Snehal Mataji again?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
यस्यां वै श्रूयमाणायां कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पूसं शोकमोहभयापहा. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamination, illusion, and fearfulness.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is very important to understand. What is happening here? So just by giving oral reception, that means hearing Vedic literature, which we are, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna must manifest. If it is not manifesting, something is not right. So how do we know if we are our hearing is right? Feeling to hear more about Krishna, right? The heart should cry for more. I want to hear more. The other day I made a mistake. I was giving morning class. Morning class is 7 to 8. Evening class is 7:30 to 8:30. So in my mind, somehow I thought the morning class was till 8:30. So I went for half an hour more. I was surprised almost all of you, stayed back. All of the devotees over there stayed back, except for one or two people. And I made the mistake and I was apologizing. But then I got messages from so many devotees saying, thank you very much for the extra half an hour. We really relished it. And honestly, that is progress. That is a validation, a litmus test that we are moving in Krishna Bhakti. Because when our heart wants more, right? Dil mange more, they used to say, right? So when our heart wants more of Krishna, want to hear more, there's relish in the heart. That means we're tasting Krishna consciousness. What was our previous position? Jaundice. In jaundice, you can't taste the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. In jaundice, when sugar candy is put in the mouth, it tastes bitter, right? But when jaundice gets cured, we are able to taste the sugar candy, the sweetness of it. So same way, Krishna consciousness is boring when we are materially diseased, but Krishna consciousness is very attractive when the material disease starts moving away. And I see that happening in many of you. So I'm very grateful Krishna's mercy is flowing into your lives. So simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality got it, sprouts up at once. What to do? What to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So if you're fearful, know that that is not a sign of Krishna consciousness. If you're lamenting, that means, oh, I could have done this. Damn it, how did this happen? I missed this opportunity. And you living in the past, right? It means immaturity in Krishna consciousness. Illusion, you think that which is not to be that which is to be important, right? Illusion. Maya means that which is not. And Krishna consciousness is seeing things as it is. So Maya is that which is not. So illusion is that which is not, taking that seriously, right? Somebody yells at you, shouts at you, tomorrow it'll be okay with you, but you take that seriously. Stock market, you see that all the time, right? As soon as something happens, people start selling their stocks. Hello, it's going to get better tomorrow. But most people are like, an illusion. And it's a very good example to see. The people are so, they see things go up and down, up and down, up and down. Still, they feel like that this is like end of the world. And that's material illusion. So when you see these are again litmus tests of the fact that we are not Krishna conscious, or how much not we are Krishna conscious. When somebody is not fearful, right? Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charanaravinda, one who's fearless at the lotus feet of Krishna. Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So fearlessness comes when you're holding onto Krishna's lotus feet. When Srimati Radharani and Krishna swings in the swing, right? Radharani just holds on to Krishna tightly. She's fearless. That's our role. So if you're holding on to Krishna tightly, we will not fear. Krishna will take care, right? Moment when, oh God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Anxiety comes in. That means we have forgotten Krishna is there. Krishna won't let us down. Krishna is holding on. That doesn't mean death won't come. That doesn't mean disease won't come. But Krishna will hold our hand through death and disease, right? Like that devotee I told you about, Jagannath Puri, right? Wonderful, pure devotee of the Lord, got some terrible disease where, he was having boils all over his body, pus was coming out, and he was passing urine and stool, and nobody would go near him. He was stinking. And Jagannath personally came and cleaned him up and took care of him. And the devotee was saying, my Lord, please don't do this. I feel horrible that you're cleaning my, urine and stool and pus and disgusting things. Why can't you just cure me of my disease? And he's like, you're suffering because of your karma and offenses, but, that doesn't stop me from loving you. You will have to suffer for whatever problems are there, but I'm here with you with the problems. So that's what Krishna is doing. We, because of our karma, we might have to suffer some of the problems and some of the things, but Krishna will be there walking us through. It's like a child going to a nursery school, very scared. Oh, new friends, teachers. Oh, what's going to happen? But when the mommy is there, walking into the classroom, you feel supported that, what, I'm here. ठीक है, life is okay. It's not so bad. At least somebody I know who is there with me. Krishna is that person. Krishna is that somebody walking us through unknown situations, holding on and knowing that Krishna is there. He's there. He'll take care. So fear goes away. Moment fear is there, remind yourself, huh? Have I forgotten Krishna? That's why fear has creeped in. Moment you're in illusion, have I forgotten Krishna? Illusion is crept in. So we might be sinners. We might be doing all kinds of nonsense activities, but it is important to understand, end of the day, if you remember Krishna, we are moving. Prabhupada said, please don't do this, but Prabhupada said, even if you're drinking alcohol and you're thinking, Rasoham apsakanteya, right? Krishna, the taste in liquids. You will eventually get purified by that process. Because every time you're drinking alcohol, you're thinking, right? And eventually you'll not drink alcohol because you're getting purified by thinking of Krishna, by verbalizing that Bhagavad Gita verse, in that process. So the sunlight falls on seawater, makes it distilled water. Sunlight falls on urine, makes it distilled water. So Krishna consciousness falls on anything that is unholy and makes it distilled water. So our heart has a lot of unholy things. We all have that, right? We have lust, greed, envy, pride, illusion in different quantities and proportions. We're not pure devotees. Maybe some of you are. I'm not a pure devotee. So in that situation, do we have hope? Absolutely. Just remind yourself of Krishna. Remind yourself of the verses from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Remind yourself, am I an illusion? Am I fearful? Am I not thinking of Krishna? Fear is coming. That means Krishna is not there. My dear Krishna, please allow me to feel your presence. Fear subsides. You're strong. You're confident. You can fight the war. Right? We're not perfect, but that doesn't stop us from being Krishna conscious. Prabhupada said, the perfection is that you're trying. Many times Prabhupada's disciples will be criticized by Prabhupada's god brothers. Oh, they don't know right hand, left hand. They're giving water with left hand. Prabhupada said they don't know a lot of things. But their only thing is, if Guru says, they will do it. If I say, they will do it. That's the perfection. And that's why to be their pure devotees. So what a proper disciples told me, it's like, we were such sinful people that Chitragupta's hard drive would crash. There's no sin that we have not committed. Jagai Madhai doesn't come close. Having said that, Srila Prabhupada one time saw us doing book distribution and he was bowing down to us and paying his obeisances. That they're doing Lord Chaitanya's great service. They're serving Lord Nityananda, right? That was Prabhupada's vision. And like you, those of you who were in the morning class, you heard Lord Krishna also say this, right? That those who come to me, right? Those who are jigyasu, those who are inquisitive about spiritual life, I see them equal to me. Whoa. That means Krishna, how he sees the Gopas and the Gopis equal to him. That's how he sees, Mahatmas, great personalities who come to Krishna and learn about Krishna. Those who are in knowledge, he says. If you have the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, knowledge of spirituality, and you come to Krishna through knowledge, not just emotions, not just because I want money, I want this, that is also great. You've come to Krishna. But with knowledge backed, you are becoming Krishna conscious. Krishna sees you as good as him. That's his greatness. Now, don't think you become God. Right? We should not get to that idea that, oh, Krishna sees himself as me, that I'm equal to Krishna. No. That's Krishna's greatness he sees us equal to him. That doesn't make us equal to him. We are still infinitesimally small. We are his servants. But it's his greatness that he sees. Because one who comes to Krishna with knowledge, such a person stays. Krishna feels comfortable with such a person because Krishna can give himself to that person. Because they will stay in Krishna consciousness. Whereas a person who's artharthi will take the money, take the problem solution, leave Krishna and not come to Krishna till they have the next problem. There are some people, devotees, who are only problem oriented. They will remember Krishna only when there's a problem. I used to have a friend who would say, he's an atheist. And then before exams, he would start praying and wearing tilak, tika and all that, Kali worshipper. And I was like, I thought you're an atheist. He said, before exams, I'm a theist. When I need something from God, I'm a theist. When I don't need anything, I'm an atheist. I would never trust such a person. I would never trust such a person, right? Those of you entrepreneurs, never do business with such a person. I don't do business with atheists only. Moment somebody says it's an atheist, I'm like, let me see if this person has the ability to change to theism, if I give better philosophy. If they can't, then they're not trustworthy. Because if they don't trust their own creator, they don't have faith in their own creator, that means they're not faithworthy. Right? So I can't trust you if you can't trust God. It's when you see people who are fault finders, they have those faults in them. People who are the most corrupt, they see everybody is corrupt. Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked, go around the world and find somebody who's not dharmic. And Duryodhana was asked, go around the world and find somebody who's dharmic. Both of them came empty-handed. Yudhishthira Maharaj found everybody is doing the dharma. Everybody's so nice. And Duryodhan was like, everybody's so bad, everybody's criminal. Right? How you are inside is how you see the world to a huge extent. So when you see something bad outside, think within. I'm able to see this because I have something like this inside. Let me work on myself. Rather than blaming the world, let me work on myself. I can be better, right? Okay, I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Kaushik, do you have any question? You are always silent and I don't interact much with you.
No, no problem. No question.
Do you not ask because of language barrier or something, or do you generally not have question?
No, no, generally not a question. Language is not a problem.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Okay, you want to turn on your mic? Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji, you mentioned about if you are good and then you will only see the good in the world, right? Now, if I see some bad, some good people, so does that mean like am I a mix of that? And like if I am good, like should I not see the bad in the world?
Seeing is not the problem. Seeing is not the problem. The problem is judging. Right? So when you are a Madhyamadhikari devotee, you can distinguish. So Prabhupada could see this person is uh, innocent, this person is a hurtful person, right? But even for the hurtful person, like for example, there is this lady, her husband, wife both. The ISKCON Juhu temple. The ISKCON Juhu temple, this person sold to ISKCON, Prabhupada, and then he got an offer from a hotel who gave a much better offer. And he went after Prabhupada to destroy the temple so that he could grab that land back and give it to the hotel. He used his political power. He used whatever he could within his reach to hurt Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, at a frustrating moment, made a statement that, he's uh, fighting over this property that and Radhakrishna was already there on the property. He dragged, the men and women out with the help of police and all kinds of things he did, gundas and all that. The Prabhupada frustratingly said, he will die tomorrow and he's just worrying about these properties and giving us so much trouble. Next day, he had a heart attack, he died. He was on his way to Australia and he died. Then his wife took on the battle. And she went on and on and on and on, making life difficult for Prabhupada, the devotees, great, great struggle there was. Then finally she lost the court battle and there was all kind of things. And then she came and she surrendered to Prabhupada. She started crying. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, you're my daughter. I will take care of you. If you need anything, we are here. You don't have a husband. You have many people here who can take care. You can stay here. Whatever you need, we are here for you. Not even a second of grudge. Why? Because there's no judgment. Can he see this as a vicious person? Yes. But the moment the viciousness was gone, there was no judgment. You're a soul, part of Krishna. So judgment is the part. You're not unintelligent. You can see somebody is crooked, somebody is kind, right? So seeing that is not a bad thing. But seeing and judging and like, oh, so and so is like that. Oh, stay away from them. They are so. That is judgment. That is because we have it inside us. Often that happens. Not always. Often that happens.
But bro, we need to stay away from some people, no? Like
Yes.
we need to judge people some
Don't
places.
judge. If a person is harmful, stay away. Like if a person has fever, viral fever, you keep a distance. Do you judge them for having viral fever? No, right? Same way, if they are, unfortunately, due to their karmic situation, they are not the nicest person, you stay away. They're harmful, but you don't judge. End of the day, you see Krishna inside them, in their heart. Paramatma is within. That's how devotee is. And now, then comes the Uttamadhikari devotee. Madhyamadhikaris are like this, who can see the difference. Uttamadhikari devotees don't even see that. They're like, everybody's serving Krishna, I'm the only one who's not serving Krishna. Now, that is a little unworldly and ununderstandable for most of us, right? So we should not That's kind of beyond comprehension. But there are devotees who are like that. Srila Prabhupada actually is from Uttamadhikari platform. He would downgrade himself so he can preach. Because for preaching, you need to know who to preach to, who need to give it more attention, who to avoid, right? But for Uttamadhikari, it's like Prabhupada in his deathbed, he would cry. It's like, all of you are pure devotees. All of you are so wonderfully serving Krishna. What have I been able to do in my life, right? That's how you would think. And that's the real Prabhupada. Right? What have you been able to do? Nothing. Your American, European boys have done such great service to my Guru Maharaj. I'm most grateful. And would cry in gratitude. Right? So that's how. And they're like, because of you, everything has happened. Right? So the point is, yes, we see things, but see it as a matter of fact. See it as it is. Don't see that which is not. Right? Maya versus reality. So the behavior is an impact of Maya. The influence of three modes of nature on the soul has impacted this person to be crooked. So we see that and we are compassionate. One time Vaisheshika Prabhu was distributing books in Chicago, and there was a Vietnamese area where Vietnamese are known for being extremely cruel to fish and aquatics. And this person was taking live fish and cutting their heads, right? Chopping them alive. And Vaishnavi Prabhu somehow felt to go inside that fish shop and give him a book. And that person is like not taking the book. It's like, you must take this book. And he kept on kind of pushing, nudging. And then he not only wanted him to take the book, he wanted some money from that person. And finally, that person gave some $2-3, although the book, the Bhagavad Gita cost like maybe $10. But he took those coins, whatever he could get, and he got it. He told us, like, that man is committing so much sin, right? He has no hope but hell. But touching the Bhagavad Gita and giving a few dollars for that book, that is his hope. Now I'm happy, I've done my job. Compassion, not judging. Lord Nityananda is like that. Jaga and Madhai, not judging. Going to them, please chant.
But we cannot turn off our preconceived notions, na? Like the way that we judge people based on our preconceived notions. Look, how do we turn that off so that we see people as they are and not judge?
Learn, learn to see people as part and parcel of Krishna. Learn to understand behavior separate from a person. And one thing I really tell people is like, when they screw up, that you're only human. It's natural that you would do that, right? Because with human body comes the influence of the modes of nature. Your material body, it'll be affected by material modes of nature. Thus, you will do stupid things, right? Even the greatest of devotees sometimes end up doing the most sinful activities. It is not unnatural. It is only expected in this material world. So when you know the knowledge in and out, you know that this is expected. It's not a surprise. Not a, oh, you're a sannyasi and you did this to a Mataji. No, it's like, hey, you know what? You're a sannyasi and this happened. Okay. Now the point is, can you turn around and start back your journey again quickly towards Krishna? Or will you stay in that position and go dwindling down? Right? That's the glory. So it's not, so when you understand Krishna consciousness and you understand material nature, you understand how human nature is and what all is there. And as a result, there's no judgment because it's expected. We all have lust, greed, envy, pride, illusion in us. Who's fooling who? Unless you're a pure devotee. But then even from pure devotee position, sometimes there are mistakes. Things happen. So when you understand that, you don't judge. You expect it like this behavior. And when somebody who insults you come back to you and say sorry, you say, there was no problem. There's nothing in the heart. I didn't even, because you're a devotee of Krishna. Krishna's in your heart. Takes time. Easier said than done. Especially to those who are enemies, who have been hurtful to us. Easier said than done. But as you chant Hare Krishna, Chetu Darpana Maharjanam, slowly. Yeah, slowly. As the Cheto Darpana Marjana happens, the cleaning of the heart, the mirror of the heart gets cleaned. The more we can see Krishna, the more we become Krishnaized, we become less judgmental. We get Krishna's qualities. Krishna is not judgmental. So the more we become like Krishna, Krishna qualities come in, the more we are able to get over these feelings. Yes, Praveen Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, recently I have just come across one personality who was actually kind of targeting me or troubling. So I just forwarded one Bhagavad Gita link, to attend the classes. I mean, earlier I used to have kind of like grudges and used to react very sharply. So this time I chose to do this, hoping that it will help. I mean, without expectation also, but I don't know whether it is.
Yeah, that's maturity, right? Yeah, this person is suffering. If they're hurting other people, that means they're suffering themselves. And what's the solution to suffering? Connect them to Krishna. Somehow or other, give them prasadam, kirtan, lecture, something that heals their heart and they can transform. There's a nice story I'll share. If there are no other questions, any other questions? Any follow-ups, Praveen Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu, I attempted, but yeah, obviously it takes some time for them to change also, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
guess. Yeah.
There
Overnight
used
it
to
won't.
be, there used to be a fruit seller, a vegetable seller in, I think this is in Holland. And whenever devotees would go do Harinam Sankirtan, he would throw rotten tomatoes at the devotees. And kept on doing that, and devotees would keep giving him books, giving him prasadam, saying Hare Krishna, treat him nicely. Once, twice, thrice, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. After a few months, that person became the biggest promoter of Krishna consciousness. He would tell everyone, hey, they're having a program, you must go, they're good people. Right? That's how we transform people's hearts. Yes, Krishna.
Guruji, I asked something in the chat if you could kindly.
Oh,
There is a lot of background noise.
okay. Prabhuji, how can someone be vigilant that they're becoming impractical in bhakti due to some improper guidance, because most people feel guilty not following something which is coming from a devotee, even if it is impractical for him, her? Okay. Any practical tips on starting regular hearing reading? I am trying, but not very successful yet. Okay, first questions first. Vigilant, they're not becoming impractical in bhakti due to some. So first of all, if the vigilance of being impractical in bhakti, being in regular touch with your mentor helps. Not the feeling guilty for not being able to follow the guidance part comes in. Don't feel guilty, talk, right? If somebody is giving you some service and you're not able to do it, ask. I have only this much time. Is there something I can do a little less committed? And there's always room for conversation and negotiation, because as much as we think people are not Krishna, they can't know your heart unless you share your heart. So be honest and share your inability to do certain activity, and things can be sorted out. Any practical tips on starting regular hearing reading? I'm trying, but not very successful yet. First of all, create a playlist of who you want to hear, whether it's Prabhupada or your guru, you're aspiring for, etc. And then make a playlist of the what thematically you want to hear, if there's a theme or a continuum, right? And based on that, you have a time, something you do every day, whether brushing your teeth or whether going to bed. So tie it to something you do regularly. So if you're brushing your teeth, then have the Prabhupada lecture or something playing, the playlist playing while you're brushing your teeth. Or if it's before going to bed, then have it playing as you're about to go to bed. So and give it a time cap, 15 minutes, right? So you don't hear a full lecture, you hear half a lecture. 15 minutes is a small time commitment. Tell your mind, don't worry, just 15 minutes. We can do it, right? Have a conversation with your mind, like you are you, and the mind is another being who's like, hey, buddy, we can figure this out. we can take care of this. 15 minutes is not a big deal. So like that you start, then 15 minutes becomes 20 minutes, becomes 30 minutes, right? So 30 minutes every day is good enough. So by creating a playlist and attaching the hearing time to something you do on a daily basis will allow you to do it. That's how you build any habit. And once you do it for 21 days, it becomes a real habit. Does it help, Krishna?
Yes, Prabhu, actually. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Kaushik Prabhu? You have your hands raised, Prabhu. You're muted. I can't hear you. Kaushik Prabhu, you're muted.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Actually, I have one question.
Mhm.
How to become humble? Means if someone says something negative words, so how can I say in a positive way, or should I respond in that time?
So humble doesn't mean not having self-esteem. Humble means if somebody says something not so nice, responding in such a way, whoa, I felt hurt by that statement. Rather than saying, you're a fool too, right? It's like, I felt hurt by that statement. So stating the truth, humility is truth, right? When Krishna says, I'm God, he's truthful. When he says, I'm smaller than the smallest, he's truthful. So when Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that I am so fallen, that humility is coming from truth. So humility is not being, oh, I'm feeble, I am such a fallen soul, Prabhuji. No, it comes from truth. So truth is you felt hurt. So rather than retaliating with the offense, you state the fact, right? And move on with life. Now, it's not easier to do when you have a lot of bodily identification, which most of us do at our stage. And so what do you do in that stage? You pause. You think, why is this person doing this? Is this person having a bad day? Because generally he's not like this, right? So you think through things, then you say it, right? Maybe you don't say anything. You just you move on. So there are different ways depending on who it is, if it is family member. But most important thing is you don't hurt back the person. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amanina Manadena. Don't expect respect, but give respect. Right? So it's important for us to make sure the other person doesn't feel the pain that we are feeling. They might have hurt us, but we should not give the hurt back to them. We take that, absorb it, and we give back something that might uplift them. Now, this will take time, but start somewhere. Start small, right? Start with some practice. It is said speech should be truthful, uplifting, and sweet, right? So just because somebody is hurling insults at you doesn't mean you have to insult back. You can always say, are you okay? Why are you being so offensive? Are you having a bad day? Have I done something to hurt you? Why are you acting like this? It won't happen if you can't think. The only way this will happen is when you pause, you think, then you respond. Does that help, Kaushik Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Most welcome. Thank you, Pradeep Prabhu. All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. See you next Friday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.